Hi, my name is Pamela Green. I'm the CEO and founder of the Christian Lounge Experience. Today I would like to discuss the book of Genesis, starting in chapter 1. This is the foundation of the Bible. This is where everything started. The Bible is literally the infallible Word of God. It's the true Word of God spoken, but in the written form. Let us begin. Looking at Genesis chapter 1 using the King James Version. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the earth, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So clearly it states there, in the beginning you had nothing but darkness, and you had God, Spirit, just hovering, covering the face of the waters, moving about. In verse 3, and God said, "Let there be light," and it was. Now all God had to do with His majesty is just speak a thing, speak something, and there it was created. He said, "Let there be light," and then there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. This takes place in verse 4. In verse 5, and God called the light day, and the darkness He called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So when you have the light or day and the night, when you have the morning and the evening, God already established time. He established that that will be equivalent to one day. Verse 6, and God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament for the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. Again, God spoke, and He divided the waters. He's doing a separation from the earth and the skies at this time. This is the beginning process of that. And God called in verse 8 the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So God is able to speak a thing, and so it is. Starting with verse 9. And God said, "Let the water under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters He called it the seas. And God saw that it was good. See, if God sees something that's good, He's going to state it. He's going to let you know. If God sees something, which we'll see as we continue on throughout the different chapters of the Bible, beginning with around the second chapter of Genesis, when God sees that something is not good, God is going to state that. And when God does state that, we need to pay particular attention to what's good according to God and what's not according to God. In verse 11, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth," and it was so. So this is the beginning of the vegetation. Okay, so first God created the earth. Then God created and separated the darkness from the light, which created days. Okay, the evening, the day and the evening is equivalent to one day. Then God separated the dry land from the waters. Okay, and then God obviously separated the heaven from the earth. So all of these things had transpired, and now it leads us right up to where God created vegetation, a food source. Verse 12, and God brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. So that was a good thing. Verse 13, and the evening and the morning were the third day. So all of that transpired thus far in 3 days. Not millions of years, but 3 days. That's the majesticness and the power, the might of God, the sovereignty of God to be able to do these things. Very simple. Verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let this be for signs, and for the seasons, and for the days, and for the years. And 15. And God let there be light for the firmament of the heavens to give upon light of the earth, and so it was. And 16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser to rule the night. And he made the stars also. So God made the stars, and it didn't come out of a Big Bang theory, but it was, as stated here in the Holy Scriptures, that it was God. And God said, let the firmament in the heavens to give light upon the earth. Verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. 19. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of the heaven. Verse 21. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, and after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw that it was good. So in the book of Genesis, in chapter 21, God starts to create what's in our waters. And it actually says the great whales. So that's the first mentioning of our of the whales. Anything that lives in the sea. He said he created great whales, and of every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And again, God saw that it was good. Continuing in verse 22. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Verse 23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind, and so it was. So first, everything that was created in the seas was all the fish, all the great whales, every living creature that exists today that was in the seas was created by God. And then he goes on to now the living creatures that is going to be upon the earth in verse 24, which is the cattle and every creeping thing and the beasts of the earth and after its kind. And then we pick up in verse 25. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and God saw that it was good. And 26. And God said, let us make man. Let us, meaning plural, meaning more than one. Let us make man in the image of God. So he created them. And that man is broken up into two parts. That man is of male and female. So God created them. Verse 28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and every living thing that moveth upon the earth. That's powerful. God created man by speaking. Man consists of a man and a woman. And then God gives man the power over and the authority and a dominion over everything that he created in the sky, everything that he created in the waters, and everything he created on the earth. Verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which the fruit is of the tree of yielding seed, to you, and it should be for meat. So God established a food source, and he also established that this food source should be of the vegetation and not of the animals and not of anything that was in the seas. This is supposed to come from, as I'll repeat it again, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the yielding seed, for you to have it as meat. Verse 30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the earth, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, therein there is life. So wherever there is life that God had created, I have given every green herb for meat. And so it was. So God gave a commandment. He told man, you are to eat from the vegetation, not of the birds, not of the fishes of the sea, not of the animals, but you are to eat from the vegetation, which is to be your meat. And then God spoke to the animals and told the animals, likewise, the vegetation is to be your source of meat. Not other animals, not anything that's in the waters, not anything that's above the earth, as far as the birds that fly in the air. Definitely not man, but the vegetation is to be your meat also. And in verse 31, and God saw that everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. Not just good, but very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. I'm going to conclude right now and just go over again a couple of things that transpired in Genesis chapter 1, which is the beginning of the Bible, which is the foundation of the Bible, which is the absolute living word that was inspired by God. It was his spoken word inspired by God that's written in the form of what we call the Holy Scriptures, which is the Bible. And in the first chapter of Genesis, clearly from the beginning, it states God created the heaven and the earth. It was God. It wasn't a Big Bang theory, but it was God. Then it goes on to tell us how God created the light, how he separated morning from night, how he created the stars, how he created the whales, how he created every living, breathing creature that there is, and after its kind. And he commanded them to be fruitful and to multiply. Being fruitful and to multiply, you need two of the same species, but the opposite sex. Two male fishes cannot reproduce. Man and woman was intended to reproduce. That's why there wasn't two males or two females, because it would have not worked. So God gave a commandment. He gave vegetation as the food source, and he said this should be your meat. So clearly, man and woman and the animals walked along the earth in peace and harmony because they weren't after each other to eat. Their main food source, and the only food source at this time, was the vegetation. That concludes the beginning of Genesis chapter 1. Thank you.